people. So let me start officially. Welcome everyone to the GSG Seminar Series. So I am the current Professional Development Chair, Yasasya Batugedara. Before we move, let me tell you about our GSG seminars. So we had 2 seminars previously. Today we are going to have our 3rd seminar for this semester, Work, Health and Family. And then in October 28th, we have a 3-minute thesis prep with the previous winners of the regional 3-minute thesis competition, as well as the campus 3-minute thesis competition. So it will be a panel discussion for those who for those who are willing to participate in 3MT are welcome to attend the session. Then in November 12th, we have another workshop for grant writing. And about all these 2 events, we are going to discuss in near future. So um, keep looking for our emails and uh, social media updates for more details. So today, like all the other seminars, you can use chat feature to ask questions. And if Dayna asks you to speak up, then you can unmute yourself and speak up as well. And I think at the end of the session, there will be plenty of time to ask the questions. And we value your feedback. So if you have any feedback and suggestions, you're welcome to email me at gsgprodev@mtu.edu. And also, if you want to access our previous events, it is in our website. And this event also will be recorded and will be uploaded to the website. So now I'm going to invite Dayna to continue. So our speaker is Dayna Browning, Assistant Director of Outreach and Education. So Dayna, now it's yours to continue on.
Well, thank you. And, you know, we have a really a small group today. So I think that gives us some freedom to do, to be a little bit more casual probably, and to do some more discussion if that's helpful. I'm just popping in the chat there a link to a quick survey just to kind of gauge some feedback on what you actually want to talk about today. So if you can hop on there and answer some of those questions, you know, I have something prepared for us, but I also want to make sure that I'm addressing your needs as much as possible. So I invite you to take that survey, give me some immediate feedback now, and then also, as we are going, feel free to pop something into the chat and ask a question or add a comment or a tip. You know, I dabble in lots of these topics that I've been asked to speak about, but I know all of you have great ideas as well, so please add them. And I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. Oh, can you give me screen sharing access? There we go. All right, let's see. And sorry, you can probably hear kids in the background playing. Let me pull this up. All right. So I see some comments coming in. It looks like a lot of our discussion today should gear toward balancing work and life, dealing with motivation, and some stress management. So the good news is I am planning on talking about that. The bad news is there's not like a magical spell that I can share with all of you that solves all of those problems. But I think it's really helpful to talk about it and to kind of make some plans, and doing that in itself is really helpful. So we are going to go ahead and get started here. So I just wanted to share, starting off with this survey, we're going to talk about stress management. We're going to talk about motivation, COVID lifestyle, and I want to share a bunch of our campus resources with you, and kind of talk about how to utilize those resources. And then we'll have plenty of time for Q&A and discussion. All right, so we're going to do a little warm up here. And we're going to do some fun with virtual backgrounds. So I know all of you have your cameras turned off, and one of you may have broken cameras, and that's okay. So turn your cameras off. You have 2 minutes to upload a virtual background that shows something that makes you happy. So I'm going to give you 2 minutes starting now, and I'll let you know. We'll pop them all on for a minute or so and share, and then we'll keep going. And if you don't have the ability to turn on a background, feel free to add a link in the chat in order to share something fun. And if you don't know how to do that, I guess I should explain that go into your Zoom profile or into the Zoom app and click backgrounds and filters. And then you can add an image there and click on that image. All right, if you can give me a thumbs up or a smiley face emoji if you're ready. All right, yeah, go ahead and unmute yourself and share your background. I have to move a little bit. My kids are my background. You might want to check out a gallery view. I also got somebody sent me a nice link of this gorgeous picture. Something for all of us to look forward to. That looks like it could be tech trails, but I'm not totally sure. So it's similar to what we might have soon. Oh, here's another gorgeous one that came in the chat. Things that make us happy. It looks like lots of places we'd like to be right now. Awesome. Well, thank you for sharing. All right. So we are going to move on with our presentation piece of this. And I want to talk a little bit about stress management. I think that's probably something a lot of us are feeling a lot more stress than normal. We're doing everything in a new way, which means that we're learning about how to do it as we're doing it. and adding all these new steps like Zoom meetings, for example. So stress management basics, and these are kind of the three that jump out to me over and over again in conversations about stress. The power of prioritization. So a lot of the time we're stressed because we don't have enough time to step back and just reflect on what's important and what's going on. So I really encourage you, step one is to think about how you can prioritize the things in your day or in your week. Setting a regular time, maybe on your calendar, where you make that task list. Another thing that's really helpful is to get visual with your task list. So writing something on a whiteboard, on a mirror, on your desktop area, sticky notes, being colorful with that. All of those things, I know it sounds like I'm talking about time management and organization, but that's actually going to be a big key to stress management, is feeling like you have control of your time. Another great thing, and I think we often forget about this or just feel like we should do it all ourselves, is getting help if you need it. I know a lot of the time I feel, especially this fall, I feel super overwhelmed with all of the things that I could be doing in the normal world if I were going into my office and had people around and stuff. And I keep comparing myself to that version of Dayna. But that doesn't exist right now. And so one of the things that's really helpful is to talk to my supervisor and say, look, these are all of the tasks that I have on my list. Can you help me prioritize, or which one should come first? How much time should I spend on this thing? That can be really helpful to do with your boss, with your peers, with people that you live with, even. You know, on the home front example, my husband and I, with 3 kids at home, COVID life is a little bit wacky. And so we often will sit down at the end of the night when everybody's asleep and just kind of prioritize together. Hey, and this is, my mother-in-law just got to town today. So what do we need to do before she comes? What level? And we did some reflection. Is it really important if every bit of our house is clean before she comes? Yes or no? And so we decided which things we wanted to get done, and what was the most important. And the great benefit of prioritization is that it really can help improve your motivation. Moving on, the next powerful piece of a stress management basic is reframing stress. So, you know, a lot of the time we talk about stress as being a bad thing. And the goal here is to kind of start thinking about some of your stress as something that maybe you can accept, noticing healthy stress, being motivated by things. So sometimes deadlines can be really motivating, right? But they're stressful. But when you get overwhelming is noticing that time and when you should let things go. And again, I think reframing stress, having that positive mindset of continuing to tell yourself, I'm stressed about this, but it's okay because I'm tough and I can get through this. And just drawing that attention to that positive way of thinking about it is so important to continue to remind ourselves to do that daily and weekly. And then the third category here really could be a few categories on its own, but physical health. And maybe I should have actually put this at the top of my slide, but physical health is actually the most basic piece of stress management. So, you know, a healthy body doesn't always equal a healthy mind, but it does pave the way to having a healthy mind. I think it's really hard to have a healthy mind if you're really missing out on the physical health piece. So these are some of the first questions that our counselors ask in a basic counseling appointment. what's your sleep like? Are you sleeping the recommended 7 to 9 hours of sleep a night? And on top of that, are you sleeping at the same time each day? If you're waking up at 9 a.m. on the weekdays and at 12 noon on the weekends, you might not really feel very stable with your sleep. So really thinking about making that a priority as a way to manage stress can be very helpful. Other key pieces of that, exercise. Not only is it good for your health, but it's good for your brain. So physical exercise, it promotes circulation, it gets the blood flowing through your brain, it releases those endorphins to make us feel happier. You develop more neurons when you're doing exercise in your brain. And so all of these things actually make us better at doing all of those things on our task list, if we think back to the task list. So getting that exercise, and it can be simple, that you don't have to run a marathon every few weeks. You just need to get out and walk, or engage in some of the activities that you like to do. And really tell yourself, remember to use that positive frame. If I go for this walk, it will actually make my research better. It will actually make my work better. It will boost my brain and allow me to give better quality to the other work that I'm doing. And then back into that physical health category, looking at nutrition is important. And it's very helpful to do this on both a daily and a weekly basis. So for me and my family, I usually grocery shop once or twice a week for most of our meals for the week. And meal planning is an important part of my stress management. A lot of the time I forget, or I just don't prioritize planning the meals that I want to eat. And then every night becomes stressful because I don't know what I'm going to cook. I don't have the ingredients that I want. And I know that it's just going to take me too much time and make too much of a mess. And so it creates extra stress. So anytime you can plan ahead and think about adding healthy foods into your diet is really going to benefit you in more than just weight management or getting the nutrients that you need, but it will really help with that stress management piece. And then think about when you're eating regularly, eating healthy in terms of, are you eating too much sugar? Are you experiencing blood sugar highs and lows throughout the day? Are you relying too much on caffeine to keep you awake? And just really starting to reflect and think about how all of those things are impacting your ability to be successful every day. All right, so I've got another link here, and I'll drop this into the chat. I want to talk about some of our favorite ways to de-stress. So let's word cloud this, and you can type in as many answers as you want. Whoop. I'm going to pull this up on our screen. So let's see if we can get some of our favorite ways to de-stress here. Does not work. Well, let's see. Let's just type it in the chat. Favorite ways to de-stress. Of course it works for me, so I don't know what the problem is. Thank you for letting me know. So type in some of our favorite ways to de-stress into the chat. If you're comfortable adding it where everyone can see it, that's great. If you want to just add it to me, I'll put it back out for everybody else anonymously. I'm going to add some of mine there too. All right, so reading, going for a walk, hiking, puzzle. Oh, the animal shelter, that's great. If everybody doesn't know about the animal shelter, it's right by the Nara trailhead, and you can go, and they have a cat room where you can hang out with cats, and you can take dogs out on walks. And I think that is just a great resource actually for our students, but it also helps our wonderful pets. So focusing on breathing, another one that came in. So thank you for sharing all of those great tips. And I think I want to point out, I bet a lot of those things, and I want to encourage you to reflect, when was the last time you did that de-stressing activity? Have you made time in your schedule to do that? And if not, I want to encourage you to go ahead and make some time. Pop something in your Google Calendar, schedule something with a friend to virtually hold each other accountable to do your activity. Make sure that you're making this as much of a priority as eating a meal or taking a shower daily. These are the things that keep us going, and I'm here to encourage you and to give you permission to do that. All right, so I want to talk a little bit about mindfulness as a way to de-stress. And I think talking about our favorite things to de-stress is really a great segue into mindfulness. And some of you might be really familiar with mindfulness, and some of you, it might just seem like some weird meditation thing that you don't want to do. But really, mindfulness is just drawing attention to something specific. And what it does is it allows us to let go of some of that other stress that's happening. And that's why we always talk about it when we talk about stress management. So mindfulness could be as simple as brushing your teeth and really thinking about how your toothpaste tastes and how the bristles of your brush feel. Mindfulness could be focusing on your breathing. Doing things like doing a puzzle or doing a magic trick. Those are really mindfulness activities because you can't concentrate on anything else at the same time. You really have to be focusing on how something fits together or how something is done and the experience of that. But one of the tools that I want to give you today is called the 5-finger deep breathing exercise. And so deep breathing is where you use your stomach, your belly, and your diaphragm muscle. And if you don't know where that is, if you kind of sit up straight or stand and feel right under your rib cage, and if you make a hissing sound, you should feel a muscle engage. And usually I teach this during a mindfulness class where I can see all of you hissing, but hopefully you're doing this along with me. And so that's the muscle that we want to engage. And most of our breathing, when we're not thinking about it, it's more shallow. It's up in our chest. And so we really want to engage that muscle and do some deep breathing. Engaging this muscle and deep breathing allows you to relax and to let go of some tension and stress. So 5-finger deep breathing mixes this deep breathing where you feel your belly move out as you breathe in, and you feel it collapse as you breathe out, along with some grounding. So you're going to take your pointer finger and one of your hands and start at the base of your thumb here. And I want you to breathe along with me and feel, we're going to trace our hands for 5 breaths and breathing in as we go up and breathing out as we go down. So I'm going to go ahead and start. Breathe in and out. If you were on pace with me, you're done now. But if you're still breathing, I hope you're enjoying that. I certainly feel more relaxed, although I might have a little bit more anxiety in this moment than some of you since I'm presenting. But that's a really nice activity or a tip that you can do. You don't have to hold your hand up. I was doing that to try to have it in the shot there. But you can do it, under the table as you're taking an exam. You can do it while you're studying. This is a great tip for those of you who are TAing and maybe have students who come to you and they're worried about test taking or, how to calm their nerves and test anxiety. Then this is a really great exercise to share with students, especially for those moments of high intensity. All right. Any questions about mindfulness? Anything I can answer there? Feel free to pop them in the chat. All right. So I think, I don't know how much everybody wants to play my virtual background game today. How about let's show something that inspires us. Feel free to drop a link in the chat, or just type in the chat what inspires you. Feel free to change your background if you want, but it seemed like that didn't go as well last time. So what are some things that inspire you? We're thinking about some of those extrinsic motivators, things outside of ourselves that are inspiring or helpful. So go ahead and as you think of something inspiring, just pop it in that chat to everybody. And if you're not feeling very inspired, then maybe just take this time to think about what are some of those things that originally inspired you to maybe pursue this course of study in your graduate studies. What are some of the things that inspired you to come to Michigan Tech? I think right now, anybody who visits this area might be inspired by, the beautiful nature that we're seeing, especially with fall colors. All right, so I want to talk a little bit about motivation. I know that was something that came up a lot. One resource to know about is that we have some workshops through the Center for Student Mental Health and Wellbeing. I'm just popping this into the screen here for a minute. One, Stress Less is a great workshop. We have one starting in 2 weeks. You can sign up here. So Friday the 23rd, and that runs for 4 weeks at 11 a.m. Erica Rundle has done this workshop many times over, and students generally really enjoy figuring out some skills to grow mindfulness and reduce stress. Another related workshop is motivation, and that's one that has already started, but if you're interested in that, you can certainly join us. And so I stole some of what I'm sharing from the previous 2 motivation workshops, but I do want to make sure you have that information there. I'll drop that in the chat. So when we think about motivation, it's really tied to success. And Richard St. John has a great TED talk that there's like a 1:40 version. I won't play it for you now, but if you're interested, you can check that out. But when we talk about motivation, we really need all of these 8 categories to get ourselves there. And I'm going to go out on a limb and say, since you're all grad students or maybe are interested in pursuing graduate studies, you probably have passion. That's why we're all here. And you worked hard already to get there. I think reminding ourselves of some of those other things. So persisting through failure and through criticism and rejection, pushing through our own self-doubts, focusing on one thing at a time. These are all elements that lead to success and help with motivation. So, and if you look at this chart and do the opposite of these things, like if you allow self-doubt to come in your way, then your motivation is likely to go down. Or if you're focusing on too many things at one time, your motivation starts to wane. So this is just a really good reminder of all of those things that we should focus on, and the things that we want to strive for. So I want you to do a little bit of personal reflecting right now. How is your mental health? And this is just something that maybe you're taking some notes on the side. I'm not asking you to share any of this in the chat box by any means, but let's do a little self-check together. So how's your mental health? Are you sleeping enough? Jot down a yes, no, maybe write down some details about your sleep schedule. Are you going through some extreme stress right now? So are there any specific life circumstances that are contributing to your mental health? For example, is somebody in your family dealing with COVID right now? Are you unable to visit family members because of travel restrictions? These are extra pieces of extreme stress that we don't normally have to deal with. Are you coping with a mental illness? And if so, are you getting proper treatment for that? Are you enjoying time with friends? I think this one is super important and really hard to do right now. You know, how are you spending time with friends? Are you able to connect with people, or with one or two people on a level that you'd like to connect with them? And are you finding time to experience joy in areas of your life? So hobbies, recreation, etc. As you're doing that, start thinking about, what are some of the physical pieces of our environment? Is your environment appropriate to allow for motivation? So I know right now we're somewhat limited. It's harder to go out to the library or to your classroom or lab. Are there any things about your environment that are able to change? Can you change anything? I know last week I was working in this home office that I'm in right now, and my children had destroyed it with paper and crayons and stuff everywhere. And one day I was working and I didn't clean up the mess, and I realized that was bringing me down. And so just simple things like that. Physical needs, we talked about that already. What are some of your roadblocks coming up? So are these situational or long-term? I want you to start to consider, are these things that you can change now or sometime soon? And then what steps can you take to change whatever that roadblock might be? If you don't have the skills to change that roadblock, then who does? And we'll talk about resources a little bit later too. So you might have some ideas about that. As you look at those things that you just wrote down, what are some of the things that you can control, and what are some of the things that you can't control? And this is a real key to motivation, and this is a key to my personal motivation too. The things that I can control, what can you focus on? And this one's kind of related to our own situation right now. You can control your attitude about things. You can control turning off the news and getting sucked into the spiral of what's happening all the time. You can control limiting your social media. You can't control if the store has toilet paper or not. You can't control on, the weather or how others might react. So start to separate and to reflect and think about how each of your actions or tasks or things that you have to do fit into either of these categories, and focus on those positive things that you can change. So I want to talk a little bit more about motivation. And I had a great conversation with another grad student the other day, and we talked about these 3 ingredients for change. And so there's another great TED Talk, and I can pop that link into the chat in a minute here too. But that one's longer, it's about 18 minutes, but it's research about the ingredients for change for motivation. So this researcher talks about social incentives. So motivating yourself through the positive actions of others. So if any of you have social media or, use the internet for anything, basically, you'll see lots of other people posting things that they've done that are great. And sometimes we talk about how that's too fake, but also that's a great way to motivate yourself. So I have a friend who recently got into working out and doing CrossFit, and she's done competitions. And so she's really somebody that I like to look to for motivation because what she's doing is so positive. It makes me feel like I should go out and go for a run or go do something too. So surround yourself by people who are going to socially motivate you. Another big key is progress monitoring. And I think this one gets washed under a lot of the time because we get too busy to take time to monitor our progress. But monitoring your progress is actually really motivating. So can you create some of those visual reminders? There are a lot of apps that you can use for progress monitoring, whether it's for work, for running, for nutrition. There's also, using, sorry, my children are screaming in the background. I hope you can't hear that. But using something really visual, if you're a visual learner, like a whiteboard or Post-it notes on your desktop, really motivate yourself with that. Google has a really nice extension in the calendar app called Google Tasks, where you can assign yourself and it'll pop up on your Google Calendar and you can check them off as you get them done. And then the last ingredient for change is immediate reward. So rewarding good behaviors right away. Our next little task here is, what are some of your favorite social incentives, ways to monitor progress, and or immediate rewards? So I want you to pop some of these into our chat here. So favorite rewards here. Yeah, food and chocolate. I've definitely had a piece of chocolate today to keep myself motivated. Lots of chocolate coming in private messages as well. Yeah, trip to favorite destinations, having a day off. All of these are so important. And sometimes it feels like we can't do that. And, one of the students I was talking to the other day said they usually spend their summer doing travel. And I'm sure a lot of you are in that boat where maybe you couldn't travel to where you wanted to this summer. I really encourage you to try to think about how you can give yourself some of these rewards. Can you give yourself a day off or an afternoon off where you really totally separate yourself and say, I'm going to take this guilt-free? Trips to favorite destinations, right now, maybe you're not taking a trip across the country or across the world, but what are some new favorite destinations around the UP? There's so much. I think we forget sometimes that Keweenaw is actually a hot spot for so many other people because we live here. So, start to uncover some of those things. Maybe make a goal for yourself to check out some of the local waterfalls in different seasons, because everything changes here so rapidly between fall colors and summer and winter. Those are great little goals to give yourself, even in our quarantined lives here. All right, we'll skip that, although I'll let you see what it was. A place that you would have liked to visit. So if you want to add a place that you would have liked to visit into the chat, that I think, is a fun way to kind of share some of the things that maybe we can't do right now, but we'll look forward to once it's safe to fully travel. So if you want to pop those into the chat messages, some places that you want to visit once we're all free to do that, or just even places around here that you think you might visit this fall. Friends, yes. All right, so I want you to take a little bit of time to reflect on the little ways that COVID changed us this semester. And I really want to draw attention to just the little things. So we've touched on, like, we can't travel, we have to do meetings via Zoom, we have to wear masks and wash our hands. But what are some of the little ways that COVID has changed us this semester? And I want to put us in some breakout rooms. Can we do that? I guess I don't have the authority to do that with. Are we able to breakout room or no?
We should be able to do.
I don't have. I don't think I can do it myself, but
I made you the co-host, so you should be able to.
I still don't have it. Can you put us in breakout rooms? Sorry, everybody. I should have planned this out better. That's okay. Oh, there we go.
Hi, Gaurav. You can join to the breakout room too, if you don't mind.
Okay, looks like we're back.
Hey, can you pull people back? I can see the breakout rooms now, but I can't move them back. There we go. All right, I think we're still waiting on a couple people coming back. So we had just a really nice conversation about missing those little daily interactions with people. And, you know, I think just that idea of like going from Zoom meeting to Zoom meeting, it's really tough. And I think, I don't know, for me, it just felt good to talk about that with somebody else, even through this meeting. So I encourage you all to find ways to talk about that with people and find those little interactions, or take a walk for yourself between meetings and something 5 minutes early. And as I say that, I realize it's already 4:50. So I want to pop through some of this stuff and give a little bit of time for questions. I didn't get to talk much about where I actually work, the Center for Student Mental Health and Wellbeing. And I do want to make sure you have some information about that and reaching out. And so I want to talk first just about, there's our website there. What we have is free mental health counseling, medication management included with some of that, groups, workshops, events. We have peer health ambassadors who do health focused, physical health focused presentations. And I want to talk to you a little bit about the mental health side of things. So stepped care, I'm going to talk about. So what we do at Michigan Tech is we provide the appropriate level of therapy for, we're solution focused. So we want to help you figure out what's going on, what solution is best for you, and get you back on your feet to complete what you need to do at school. So this stepped care model kind of gives you that visual look at it. So we have a lot of walk-in hours. Usually most days between 8 and 5, our hours are on our website. There are a few days where the hours are a little bit different there. And walk-in right now is Zoom appointments. So all you have to do is email counseling@mtu.edu. And we have walk-in appointments usually the same day. And you can get scheduled and talk to a counselor. A walk-in appointment is usually 30 minutes. And you'll just answer some basic questions. Why are you here? What is contributing to this problem? How, what's your mental health history? What would you like to happen? And from there, the counselor that you meet with will help you decide what's the best next step for you. So we have a lot of self-help resources. So you might not need intense therapy. You might be ready to just get some resources and figure out your problem from there. Skill building workshops and seminars are kind of more in the middle there, step 4. So if you need a little bit more intensity, we have workshops that you can sign up for, and seminars. We have groups. We also have a grad student group that's offered. I think it's at 5:30 on Tuesdays. And there's information for that on our website. And we also offer individual therapy. If you need more intense therapy, we also help refer you either to our nurse practitioner or outside off campus. So there are lots of places in the local area that take insurance and help with mental health concerns. And we can help you find somebody in the area as well. I just wanted to briefly highlight some other on-campus resources. The Ombuds Office offers confidential, free, unbiased mediation, institutional equity in Title IX, CDI, report a concern, and then Upper Great Lakes is at the SDC. So if taking care of that physical side is super important. I can certainly share this stuff. Talking about mental health, QPR training, I want to pop a link in the chat. This is a great way to talk about Where's the chat here? Sorry about that. To get some training on how to talk about suicide with friends. And I think one of the biggest requests that I see, and I'm not a counselor, but I work with students in the well-being side of things, is I see a lot of students saying, how can I help somebody else? QPR training is a great way to get some extra help on that. And then also this website, I'm putting it in the chat right now, seizetheawkward.org is another great website that gives you some good tools. And I know, especially as a TA or somebody who supports other people in labs or research, sometimes it's really nice to have some of those tools on how do you have a conversation when you notice somebody's just a little bit off, and how can you reach out to them and help them. And so I think I can wrap it up there and give us a few minutes of time for questions. And feel free to unmute yourself or to put something in the chat box. And I'm just gonna share my contact info there.
So if you have any questions, it's time to ask. Okay, I'm going to ask a question, Dayna. So, do you have any suggestion to keep a good eating habit? When I'm stressed, I tend to eat a lot.
So I think the best thing to do is preparing ahead of time. So I'm the same way. At work, I like to keep healthy snacks on hand, and I'll be much more likely to go for those if they're there and available. So like I always keep a bag of apples in the fridge. That way, if I'm hungry, I can go grab an apple and I know I'll eat that. Clearing out some of all that bad stuff from eye level is really important too. Just hide it, put it somewhere else, put the healthy stuff out there. Maybe even planning your snacks ahead of time. So have like carrots and hummus cut up and ready. Because yeah, when you're stressed, you're less likely to take the time to make that healthy snack that might have an extra step or two in there. So I think that's my best advice on that. Any other questions?
So I had sent one in the chat. Do you feel at this point for working out, is the gym a safe option yet? Or because working outside, like, I mean, I still go for my walks and everything like that outside, but it's starting to become colder and colder as the months goes on. What do you recommend for physical health, especially when you're in tiny apartments, which I'm guessing most of us grad students are? What would you recommend for working out? Is the gym a safe spot, or would you consider that still a hot spot for transmission spreading?
You know, I am not a doctor or an expert, so I'm not the person that you should probably ask. I pop, by the way, I know some of you are leaving. As you leave, there is a link there for an after workshop survey if you can fill that out. But personally, I'm not super comfortable with going into the gym yet, just because I'm worried about like the you know, when you're breathing heavy and it's propelling more than 6 feet, especially. There are a lot of online things though to check out. And also I would encourage you to embrace a winter sport here. The OAP, the Outdoor Adventure Program, they have rentals for like snowshoes, cross-country skis, downhill skis, all that kind of stuff. Or Ripley has downhill ski rentals, sorry. But I would encourage you to try to check out some of that stuff. Maybe find a group of like-minded people who are also stuck inside but willing to try something new. A lot of the student involvement clubs too have, if you check out the involvement link, have opportunities there to try things out. But yeah, there are, you know, a lot of YouTube videos that don't require any extra equipment. And it's not just yoga, but there are like HIIT workouts and body weight workouts and stuff like that. You know, I'm sure there are ways. Ooh, thank you, Lauren. Lots of free workouts that are apartment friendly. But yeah, you know, I think it's going to be each of our own comfort zones probably for the next year or two. And that might fluctuate. One week you might be comfortable and then the next week there's an outbreak. So yeah, any other questions?
Okay, it seems like no one have any other questions. So I would like to thank Dayna for your wonderful presentation and fruitful advices and thoughts. And for all of you as well for attending this seminar. And if you have any questions, feel free to email Dayna or me at gsg.pro.dev.edu. So if you have any questions, I can forward them to Dayna as well. And if you have any questions regarding our workshops, again, you can email me. I'll send you the recording with the feedback survey as well. So you can fill out the feedback survey and give your feedback to us. Thanks again.
Thank you.
Have a good evening.